In this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how I healed my gut from chronic gastritis, IBS, bloating, and reflux. I'm going to share with you the no bullshit foods I ate, the lifestyle changes I made, the physical movements I started to do, the supplements I took, and all the helpful tools and hacks that allowed me to heal completely. I'm also going to share with you what didn't work, and hopefully this saved you so much stress, time, and money. Hopefully this video is a tool that helps you heal much quicker than I did. It took about 5 years before I started really cracking the code and figuring out exactly what my body needed. And in that time, there was lots of trial and error, lots of seeing specialists, doctors, alternate medicine people, and working on myself very deeply. Let's start with some definitions. What is gastritis? Gastritis is inflammation of the stomach lining. The way I experienced it was I felt like there was a knife in the middle of my stomach, maybe towards the upper part of it near the rib cage and towards the right where the liver is. It felt like someone was pushing the knife in and twisting it. Sometimes it felt like broken glass. Sometimes it felt like this gnawing, burning kind of pain. It was super uncomfortable, felt super red and raw. It was worse when my stomach was empty and about an hour and a half after eating. While I was actually eating, the pain went away, and while I was exercising, the pain went away. So there are 2 points that I really noticed that the pain wasn't there, but every other time it was there, apart from when I was sleeping. The next is IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. This can take shape in many forms. The way I experienced it was cramping, bloating, uncomfortability, a little bit of constipation. I didn't have any diarrhea, but I did have constipation, normally about a 3-day kind of cycle. And it was super uncomfortable, super annoying, and it made me not want to be social 99% of the time. The next is reflux. So reflux is when stomach acid, which is meant to belong only in your stomach, comes up and into your esophagus, burns your esophagus, your throat. You can sometimes feel acid in your mouth. You can have constant perpetual phlegm that you're clearing, which is like a form of silent reflux. And it can be very uncomfortable. It's probably like one of the worst, most uncomfortable symptoms. Almost felt like torture for me. And every time I would eat, I would have acid coming up into my throat almost after every meal. When I would lay down on my back or on my side, I would feel like acid was coming up into my throat. I would sometimes feel like there was a big ball in my throat, which was super annoying and uncomfortable. And yeah, this was one of the worst ones. I would not wish this on my worst enemy for a long period of time. For like a day to a week, it's okay, but fuck. Years, months, damn, that's shit heavy. And bloating is obvious. It's an extension of the lower part of the stomach, and that's how I experienced it. It was uncomfortable. I felt like everything was being pushed out. It was annoying to walk. It was annoying to move. It was annoying to exercise. And it just made me not want to be social again, not want to do things, low mood and low motivation. It looked really unaesthetic and unpleasing. It was pretty gross. They're the kind of 4 symptoms I had in a nutshell, and they're my kind of experiences of them in a very micro piece. Just to give you a bit of a background on my story of how it all happened, somewhere in my early 20s, I went traveling, I came back, and I remember going to bed that night, and I woke up with all this acid in my throat. That was the first kind of conception of my journey with my gut. And I never had this in my life before, and I was really confused. But I thought, okay, acid reflux, you go to the store, you take this little fucking Mylanta thing, and it's all good after that. But it kept coming back. A week later, it was still there. 2 weeks later, still there. A month later, there. 2 months later, there. You get the picture. And I really started to get stressed, and it started to manifest with all these other symptoms. One of the other symptoms was the gastritis, which felt like that burning, gnawing pain that I described earlier. And I started getting the lower bloating, the lower uncomfortability, and constipation. So it was kind of a trifecta. I was having the upper esophageal burning, refluxy pain. And then sometimes when that would disappear, I would get more of the burning, gnawing, knifey pain in the stomach. And then sometimes it would just be in the bottom, and when it would kind of go down lower into my lower abdomen, and it will start to get more extension and bloating and uncomfortability there and constipation. So that's kind of how the trifecta worked. One up here, one in the middle, and one lower. And sometimes I would have 2 together, or sometimes I would have only uncomfortability in one spot, and then the rest would kind of be good. It was really interesting how it kind of worked. It was kind of moved at some points. maybe something to take note of, whether yours is doing that too. So I got back from traveling. I was in Europe and Southeast Asia, and Came back, it was really bad, really uncomfortable. I thought it would last a month, it lasted much longer. And this is when I was like, okay, I gotta go see someone. So I saw multiple gastroenterologists. So in my 5-year journey, I had multiple endoscopies where they would put a camera down into your throat, into your esophagus, and look in your stomach to see what's going up in the upper GI tract. And the only thing they really found was a little bit of red inflammation in the stomach lining, which I could have guessed that there was going to be some inflammation there, but there was nothing else serious. So that was ruled out, which was great. I had 2 colonoscopies as well, where they go through the rear with a camera, and they put you under, and you go to sleep. So not the most beautifully painted scenario, but they put a camera up your butt, and they kind of look into your intestines and whatnot, and mainly into your colon, and they saw a little bit of red inflammation there as well. So that was the conclusion after 2 colonoscopies and 2 endoscopies, which were quite invasive procedures. They showed very little inflammation, something that I could have told you there was going to be some redness there, but the good part about it is it ruled out anything major, like cancer, and worse, if there is worse. You know, like it could have been like a big alien living in there or something, I don't know. I also had multiple comprehensive stool tests, which show all the bacteria, all the yeast, all the potential parasites, and this kind of came in very inconclusive, obscure, like, yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but nothing really. It was very opaque. And I had the pH test as well, but the funny thing is I never got the results back from them because they could not get the tube through my sinus hole in my nose. So my sinus hole was too small. Poor sinus hole, it was just too small, genetical thing. They couldn't get the tube down and in and down into my stomach, so I never got the pH test done, which I don't think would have been that much great information anyway. I had a lot of blood tests done. Once again, my C-reactive proteins, no inflammation markers, no missing any vitamins, minerals, macronutrients. It was all good on that side. I was, test-wise, I was pretty fucking healthy, as opposed from the little bit of redness they might have seen in the camera. Yeah, tiny bit of red. So to conclude, with all the tests that I had in the 5 years and all the Western medicine doctors I went to, everything was pretty much inconclusive, ambiguous, opaque, no clear answers. No one asked about diet, no one asked about stress, no one asked about my physical movement. It was just about, let's test, let's see if we can see anything. And we didn't see anything, so technically you should be fine. It could be psychosomatic, it could be experiencing in your mind. They were kind of the umbrella kind of opinions / conclusions that were drawn upon from very studied, educated people, which was interesting in my eyes because I'm a very curious person. I work with health quite a bit now, and now I look at it, I'm like, oh, fuck, there was so much there, look deeper. The only options the Western doctors and specialists were able to give were either proton pump inhibitors, antacids, antibiotics, or multiple surgical options, which were all terrible options. Now looking at it from a point of hindsight, when I look back at it, either were a band-aid option, never got to the root cause, or either caused more damage than good. With proton pump inhibitors, I took them for the first couple of weeks after I saw the first specialist, and I very quickly stopped after doing some research on them because I felt weird taking them. I didn't feel the greatest. I didn't feel like my food was actually breaking down when it was in my stomach. So proton pump inhibitors shut down your body's ability to create hydrochloric acid, which is the thing that digests your food and actually kills all the bugs and bad bacteria on the food that you eat. So it's a really important function of your immune system. If your body can't break down the food properly, you cannot digest the nutrients, the vitamins, the trace minerals, which are going to create the healing within your system. The proton pumps have so many functions across the body, so shutting them off just to shut off hydrochloric acid production also doesn't feel like a great thing to do because proton pumps are needed all across your body. And if you can't digest nutrients properly, you can't heal. So it's very counterintuitive. So older people that take proton pump inhibitors for a long time, their bone density starts going down, they have inability to digest and absorb nutrients because they don't have the acid which is crucial for this, and their immune systems become much weaker as well. So I stopped with that very quickly, and I'm so glad I did. And the reality was the benefits were very minute. I felt a little bit better. Some of the acid didn't feel like it was coming up as much, but in terms of like the whole picture, it's a terrible idea. I suggest to get off pretty damn quick. It's a very short-term strategy only. The antacids like Gaviscon and Mylanta were also taken very infrequently because I did research on it once again, and I didn't like that I wasn't able to absorb the nutrients that my body needed to heal. Once again, it quells the acid that may be coming up the esophagus and also reduces the acid in the stomach. And the reality of it was, it actually wasn't very effective at all. It may make it feel different, but it didn't take away the actual annoyance and irritation that I was feeling. So with antibiotics, I toyed with the idea for a long time whether or not I should take it, and consulted very different people from different camps of the health world. And I didn't want to wreck the skew of my microbiome and all the progress I had been making over the period of time. So I decided not to touch it because I didn't want to invite in other problems that a weakened microbiome can have. And if you don't know what a microbiome is, it is the universe of bacteria and viruses and fungi and all sorts of microbes that live within your digestive system, particularly your colon, small intestine, and your stomach. And they form a world or an ecosystem. So think of it like a garden. If you nurture your garden and you take care of it and you water it and you feed it the right nutrients, the flowers start to blossom, the trees start to bear fruit, and everything is brilliant and beautiful and works in harmony. But if you do not, it can become derelict and broken down and full of weeds very quickly, and that's exactly the same analogy which transfers to your digestive system. It's important to note, I also wasn't fully opposed to taking antibiotics. Some of this research and studies I've read had shown that people sometimes do have a benefit from taking it and clearing the microbiome out, having a clean slate and getting rid of anything or any bacteria that may have overgrown. But I wanted to try properly all the holistic health lifestyle factors first to ensure that I wasn't doing more damage than good and wasn't doing something that it would take me much longer to recover from. With the surgical options, I wanted to avoid surgery at all costs. I know that surgery can have many complications, and a lot of them are still in the experimental phase, and maybe they've done it 1,000 times, but still, I'm very sensitive with my body, and I didn't want to take any chances. I didn't want to do something that was irreversible. That was the number one thing. One of the surgical options were to actually go in and mechanically tighten the lower esophageal sphincter, which is the sphincter that connects the esophagus to the stomach. And this tightens and opens and closes and tightens like a valve. They would go in there and they would mechanically do something to actually tighten that area up. And that just felt like it was going to be riddled with complications after what I'd researched on YouTube, what I researched through articles and research papers, and just looking at it as a whole, it didn't seem like a good option. It seemed like it was more riddled with complications rather than anything that was going to be beneficial or serve me. I think if I had ongoing chronic symptoms for an extreme long time, like 10, 15, 20 years, I'd consider it. But I really think there are better ways around it. And with the research I'd done, it didn't seem to work very well. Some people reported a little bit of benefit, some people reported quite a bit of benefit, and other people reported that they actually went way worse. So I didn't want to risk this. Once I started realizing that the Western medicine side of things was fairly futile and I wasn't really getting anywhere and they didn't really have many answers or many tools, I started looking into the alternate medicine side of things. So the naturopaths, the functional medicine doctors, alternate healers, body workers, Chinese medicine, I started really diving into that to see what they had to say about what was going on with me. With the naturopaths and the functional medicine doctors, the main 2 points of focus was nutrition and supplements and herbs. They had access to better stool tests, better blood work, heavy metal testing, parasite testing. They had better access to better functional tools. So I was curious what would happen here and what they would find, but Lord behold, there was very little information that came out of these tests once again. So all the tests were expensive and pretty inconclusive, and it started to become clear within me that there was no silver bullet, but instead there was many golden BBs. So while I was working with these guys, I was tracking my food through a journal, and this was a really good piece of information, and I was able to track some of the things that was causing more irritation to my system. But it was still no silver bullet. It was just getting a better understanding of my nutrition, which I thought I already had a pretty good understanding. It was just a high level of understanding. So I tried so many different herbs, supplements, and things with the natural medicine doctors. And I would say like I probably got about 20-30% improvement while I was on some of these, and sometimes the concoction of all the different types of medicines would actually irritate me even more. So the supplements kind of made me feel about 20% better sometimes, but it was like a sliding scale. Sometimes I'd feel still worse, sometimes I'd feel a little bit better. Overall, I guess it was a good venture, but I didn't really find the answers I was looking for, which was kind of unfortunate when I was really promising and hopeful at the start, thinking this is going to be the answer, these things and how they were speaking about them. But once again, no silver bullet, many golden BBs. And maybe this was one golden BB that added to it because it probably did something. I stuck to the supplement regime they gave me pretty religiously. I really wanted to heal, and I thought that this could be a good way of at least getting some percentages on the board. So I took so many different combinations and types over my work with these guys. And to be honest, I didn't get a huge benefit, but I definitely got some benefit. I'm going to list for you some of the ones that I would recommend as being the best bang for my buck. I don't have any affiliation with any of the brands that I mention. I'm purely just stating it from what I took and what I think kind of helped me. So I've got my laptop here and I've got a list here. So I took liposomal vitamin C, I took zinc, vitamin B, vitamin D, vitamin A, I took a good magnesium supplement from Organifi. I took Vermox, which is active ingredient is mebendazole. It's an anti-worming tablet, gets rid of any worms in your system. I took SIBOGuard by Bioceuticals to combat the overgrowth in my lower gut or upper gut. I took a digestive enzyme called Multigest by Bioceuticals. I felt it helped me digest food a little bit easier. I took Paracia Forte by Bioceuticals as well, natural anti-parasite tablet, and there was many more, but those are the best ones that I think gave me the best bang for my buck, because you can spend endless amounts of money in this area, but I think the biggest things that you're gonna find shift in are probably your lifestyle factors. Now let's go to what actually worked in my opinion. What were the golden things that really, took my healing to that next level? Now we're gonna get to some of the juicy parts. So the first thing was changing my environment. And I know this is going to sound pretty big and large, like a big step and hard to do for a lot of people, but really think about it for a moment. So for me, I predominantly grew up in a city in Melbourne, Australia, and suburbia, big city, pollution, lots of things going on, lots of stress, lots of stimuli, constantly being bombarded with so many things in this concrete jungle, sometimes that we live in when we're in a city. So I decided to pack my bags and go move to the east coast of Australia, which is rainforest and beaches and a lot less people, no traffic lights, no stress. And that became my lifestyle for 3 years. And in that lifestyle change, so many things opened up within my life, and I was in the water all the time, jumping and swimming in the beach. I was surrounded by new microbiome, the water, the place, the trees, the breeze, like just being in that environment, which is more community centered. So my social relationships actually went up a lot. I started feeling much more connected to myself, with others. In this, I started to get noticeably better. Month by month, I started seeing actual increments that I could feel a change. And I was taking not that many supplements, just the basics. Vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin B, zinc, and magnesium. That was it. That's all I was really taking, and I was taking them kind of sporadically, not that often. But I was getting a lot of sun, I was jumping in the water, I was around nature a lot, I was around lots of community and people that were cheerful, joyful, and really heart-centered. And this really helped propel me in the direction of healing. This is what I think is one of the number one things. Your environment is going to dictate how you feel. So if you are in an environment which is conducive for healing, so you're around nature, you're around beautiful, good people, and you feel like you are accepted within a community, and the weather's good and the sun's good, this is conducive to more healing. The next thing that I think that really helped move the needle on my healing was sticking to a diet long term and listening to what my body needed. I stuck to a really healthy diet for a really long time. I'm talking about 3 to 5 years, like pretty on point. Of course, there was little moments where I would deviate from the plan, and sometimes it would be fine, some other times I would pay the consequences. So what I pretty much ate was meats and vegetables and rice. So the meats I would have was white meats that were not very fatty, like chicken and fish and eggs as well. Not crazy fatty like beef ribs or like lamb shoulders and dripping fat everywhere. They were fairly fatty, the cuts I was having, but they weren't like crazy fatty, so my body could still deal with them pretty well. Like a big fatty meal, lots of people find hard to digest, even if they don't have any digestive problems, right? I ate lots of veggies as well with my meat. I would have mainly zucchini, carrots, mushrooms, broccoli, and I would add certain different things in there, but those 4 were my base vegetables for a lot of my meals. I had some carbs as well. The main carb I was having was rice. I would have wild rice and basmati rice, mainly 1 meal a day, maybe half a cup. I was still having pretty leanish kind of food because I was training and still maintaining my physique. With fruits, I would only have a little bit every now and then, like I'd have half a banana or some blueberries or whatnot, but I wouldn't have too much because too much fruit, too much fructose in my gut was causing me symptoms. The oils I cooked with and used were mainly organic coconut oil to cook in, or grass-fed butter or ghee, and I would drizzle olive oil that was real olive oil, none of this like refined olive oil or half olive oil, the real olive oil. I would drizzle that over some meals, but I would try not to have too much fat in my meals, so I would try to keep everything to like a medium level, not like overly drenching when I could handle it. I still used herbs and some spices. I would have a little bit of pepper, I would have salt, I would have oregano, thyme, parsley, basil. They were like good staples because they weren't too acidic, they were nourishing, they had lots of vitamins in them, lots of micronutrients, so it still added lots of herbs to create lots of flavors and different combinations of flavors, but I would definitely cut out hard herbs and seasonings like garlic, paprika, like cayenne pepper, all those kind of ones I didn't have too much of because they were too annoying with my gastritis and my reflux, and yeah, they just didn't sit that well. So I kind of avoided them unless I was trying something like a cayenne pepper, black pepper, cardamom, clove kind of tea to, you know, potentially kill parasites. And I tried lots of those teas as well. And maybe I'll include all that in another video. Now for the foods that I avoided. I pretty much cut out all grains apart from basmati rice and wild rice. I cut out all dairy apart from ghee and butter. I cut out refined sugar, coffee, and alcohol too. As I said earlier, I had minimal fruit because it bloated me. I cut out heavy spices like garlic, chilies. I avoided white potatoes because they also didn't sit well, and I had sweet potatoes sometimes, but I didn't have too much because it still didn't sit well with me. I was getting burping and indigestion and yeah, just not feeling good. So I had to cut that out for a period of time. I cut out coffee, unfortunately, even though I loved coffee so much, but now I can drink coffee, which is amazing. I really did cut it out for about 5 years. It really helped my nervous system calm down. I think it was one of the best things I ever did, seeing what life was like without coffee for a long period of time. It allowed my system to calm down, allowed my gut to calm down. It's quite acidic, as you would know. It's quite a harsh beverage. So cutting it out definitely helped me heal for a period of time. It was hard, but once I did it, I felt really good. Try it, at least go for months, and you'll get to that point where it makes it much easier. I cut out alcohol, and this changed my social life a fair bit, which at the time I was a bit like antsy about. I didn't want my social life to change in that way. I was going to more clubs and bars and stuff. But in the end, after doing it for a while, I started still going and having fun in the places that I wanted to go and just not needing to drink, and I felt great, felt amazing. So that shift within myself and not needing to drink actually felt freaking amazing. And now I can enjoy a glass of wine, or I can have a cocktail, or I can have something every now and then, but I still don't have it too much because I just don't see the need and use for it in my body because I don't feel that good. I don't think anyone feels that good drinking alcohol too much, but I can enjoy it at least, which is great. And other beverages, I cut out things like sodas and refined juices and all that kind of jazz. I don't really have much juice. Sometimes I would have like a freshly made juice that I made myself that wasn't too sweet. But yeah, mainly drinking water. I would have some teas. I I would still be drinking teas, which was great, like chamomile and black tea. I would still be having, that was my choice. Or maybe I'd make my own chais, which was great. So another thing that I was meticulous about was vegetable and seed oils. I cut them out completely. I didn't have any seed oils, any vegetable oils, any refined oils. I noticed that even if I had a meal that had, for example, just simple vegetables or just meat, and it was cooked in vegetable oil, I would feel extremely sick. My body was just saying a massive no to this, because the processed, refined oils just were so inflammatory to my system and were making me really sick. So I had to cut them out a lot, which meant eating out at only a very few select places that I knew did not use them, or I would have to request for no vegetable oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, rice bran oil, cottonseed oil. All these oils were a massive no, and they didn't work for me, so I just stuck to the ones that I knew were natural. And when I started cutting vegetable oils out for real, I really started to feel a massive shift in my gut health. So vegetable oils are highly refined, and they go through a long processing phase, and they use little seeds, and a lot of them, to squeeze out oil, and they process them with chemicals and they deodorize them with chemicals, and you end up with this product which is highly refined, and the body doesn't really fully understand what it is, and it can cause a great inflammation spike. So this is what started happening in my body, and I also know a lot of friends and a lot of clients that this has happened too, and by cutting out vegetable oils, things have calmed down a lot. So I highly recommend you look into this and you make up your own conclusions, and of course be slightly skeptical. I think it's important for everyone to be slightly skeptical with any information they take in and come up with your own understanding, but this is my understanding, and I know firsthand that this has really affected me, including those around me. And everyone is a lot healthier by cutting them out and just sticking to oils that are natural and have very little processing behind them.
You'll tour the oil section in Coles. I'm going to weed out some of the ones that are just no good for you.
As soon as you come across all these yellow bottles lined up, run as fast as you can in the other direction. Do not have your vegetables here. This is an inflammation bomb waiting to happen. A mixture of canola, corn, palm, soybean oil to give you the perfect inflammatory cytokine storm. Canola oil, this old chestnut, very similar to rapeseed and safflower oil. It's cheap, nasty, and inflammatory. They use a strong chemical extraction process with a chemical called hexane. Do not recommend. This next one, peanut oil, an Asian delight, but it is an acne inducer. It is inflammatory and highly processed. Don't recommend. What do we have next? Rice bran oil, a takeaway shop favorite. A big no, it's ultra processed, has a loaded omega-6 inflammatory ratio. Stay away. Rapeseed oil, this one really perplexes me as I see some numbnuts prescribe this to patients, especially those goody-goody nutritionalist types that follow the big pharma help book. It's GMO galore, ultra-processed, refined, contributes to massive amounts of inflammation, has high linoleic acid, and it's a big do not eat. What do we have here? Are you ready for the greatest scam and folly of all time? Olive oil everyday cooking. If it's made for everyday use, it must be good. It must have better stuff in it because I'm going to be having it every day, right? Oh, what's in it? There we go. Refined oil. Here we go again. Chemicals, extraction, deodorization. They remove the taste and aroma defects from all the unsellable olives and straight to you.
Let's talk about meal timings. So this is a pretty important one because it really sets up your foundation of your rest at night and allows your gut to recover. So I would normally eat 2 hours after waking up. I would go do some exercise, do some work first, do some meditation first, and then I would eat. And I would have a fairly light breakfast, maybe some eggs and some veggies. Then I would wait 3 to 4 hours to allow that meal to digest properly before I had my next meal, which would maybe be some chicken and some veggies and a little bit of rice maybe. And then I wouldn't eat till dinner, which would either be fish or chicken again, with more vegetables and some rice, and I would put more effort in flavorings and seasonings and try to cook everything a bit differently every time to make the variety, make it feel good, taste good, make myself enjoy it. And I actually did. I started finding out really cool ways of cooking and making things really tasty within the things that I could eat that made me feel good. A big one here with timing is stopping eating 3 hours at least before going to bed. allowing you time to digest food before going to bed is so crucial. It's going to allow your body to heal. You're not going to bed on a full stomach. You're not putting pressure on your lower esophageal sphincter. You're allowing the food to go down. You're allowing your body to actually rest and recover instead of turning the whole factory on. If you eat before going to bed, the whole factory of digestion is being turned on, so your body doesn't get to rest and recover. It's actually working pretty hard. So not eating before you go to bed for at least 3 hours is a game changer. It helped me heaps. And make sure you stick to that one for an extended period of time. Don't just do it for a few days, a week. Do it for months, and you'll see your life just change in front of your eyes. You'll wake up with way more energy, way more restfulness in your body. You'll just feel clear in the mind. You'll feel great, and the gut will start healing. Trust me. And remember to wait 3 to 4 hours before having the next meal and trying to snack too much in between. Another huge piece was not overeating. And this was a massive game changer. I would only eat till 80% full. Every time I would go over this, I would be in pain. My gut would slow down. I would have more bloating. I would have more reflux just because I'm filling my system up so much more, and it was so much harder to digest big quantities of food. So the less I ate, and I wouldn't eat too little, so I wouldn't be starving myself. I would eat to about 80% full, and this is an old Japanese rule as well. They only eat to an 80% full level, and they feel so much better, and it's meant to increase your longevity. It's meant to make you feel lighter. It's meant to allow the food to go down much quicker. It's meant to increase the absorption rate of your food. And this worked so well for me. So I would cut down how much food I ate, especially for my last meal, to allow my body to fully rest at night and have an emptier, lighter stomach. Hey, a quick message from me. I hope you're enjoying this video and getting a lot out of it. After 10 years of study and 5 years of going through my own healing journey, I became a holistic health coach, and my number one aim is to help others heal and thrive on their journey of reclaiming their health and optimizing their life. The link to my website and application form is in my bio. I would love to hear from you, but for now, let's get back to the video. Another thing I started doing around my food was having more gratitude for each meal. I would sit before eating and I would try to take out all the stimulus around me, so actually not be watching TV or on the computer. I would try to be with my food for a moment, and I would just look at the food for a few seconds. I would breathe it in, just get my body ready, draw myself into presence, and I would recite something like a mantra or a little prayer to my food. And I would just say something like this: thank you, food. Thank you to all the animals, all the plants, all the energy, all the effort that went into creating this meal. May you nourish me, and may you allow me to make the world a better place. Something simple like that, and that was my mantra that I used. And it would just allow me to fall into connection with what I was actually doing, which was eating food, which is another life form or force. And that energy was going into me and literally becoming a human cell, becoming me, repairing me, nourishing me, and just having that connection with the food just allowed me to be in more presence and just drop into what I was actually doing. Something to note, I was also drinking mainly filtered water. I'd stopped drinking tap water for quite a few years. I was also collecting some of my water from a nearby mountain which had a spring, which I would fill up these big plastic containers full of water, and I would bring them back to my home. And I would go once a month. I'd fill up 100 liters at a time with a friend, and I would be drinking this really pure, clean water from the very top of a mountain in Australia along the east coast. Or I would order spring water if I couldn't go to the mountain, and the truck would deliver it to my house, and it was fluoride free and chlorine free. And I just felt like I was wanting to drink water so much more because it tasted so much better, and I was really hydrated, and I looked forward to drinking water, and it wasn't a chore. And from the research that I did, chlorine and fluoride aren't really conducive to healing. So I decided to cut them out. So that's up to you whether you decide to do anything like that, but that's just what I did, and it worked for me, and I've continued to drink very little tap water, although sometimes I do drink it and I'm completely fine on it, but I just don't like the taste. I can really taste that chlorine taste, and fresh water from an actual source tastes so much better to me. The next thing that I think that worked as well and was a big part of the journey of healing was changing the way I moved my body. So when I was younger, I was a bodybuilder, powerlifter, and heavy weights kind of person. I competed in powerlifting and bodybuilding, and I used to push heavy weights. My body used to be under lots of stress. I never used to stretch. I never used to move much. I just used to lift weights. That was me. I was the guy that lifted weights, and I was really good at it, kind of. And I started changing the way I moved and thinking about the body. I started opening things up, stretching things, mobilizing things. And I started to learn about movement. So one of the things I now teach is also movement. I teach in classes and workshops, on retreats. I teach people how to move in so many different ways. It's been 10 years of a journey of learning about the body, and I love it so much. And I could see how much tension I was holding through my chest, through my throat, through my abdomen, when everything is kind of tight and cramped. Your ability to have motility through your gut and have a healthy digestion, is really compromised, especially if you have tight quads and you have tight hip flexors and you have tight abs and you have a tight chest. You can imagine everything kind of turning in and creating this ball of tightness. So, a lot of tension was kind of due to the way I was moving. So I started learning more about dance, flexibility, mobility, opening up the feet, opening up the body, learning how to connect it and move well through space. Started doing things like animal flow and primal flow and yoga and breath connected movements to open up my body, to use my breath, my breathing to open up my chest. And this all sounds very confusing now. Yes, it is confusing, but I'm going to show you some simple exercises that you can do that I think work really, really good at just starting the process of opening up the abdomen and the digestive chain in the body. So yeah, I would love to gift you guys and show you guys some of the things that I still do daily that help open up my spine and my back, which is connected to your abdomen. And if you think about when your spine is all hunched and rounded, you can really, put your body in a weird position where, the natural posture isn't allowing for your esophagus, your stomach, your intestines to sit nicely. They're all kind of like trapped, so it's much easier for things to go wrong. So I'm going to show you some cool exercises that are easy and you can do at home and you can start right now, that helped me and that I still do today to help open up this whole torso area. I'm just here in my living room and I'm going to show you a couple of the exercises that really helped open up my diaphragm, my chest, my gut, my throat, my hips, and all these interconnect and really make your digestion easier, or they can really constrict and put lots of restriction on your digestion, all the way from your throat and your neck into your chest, into your upper belly, your lower belly, and down into your hips. The first exercise is called a cat-cow. It's a very simple exercise, but it's extremely effective at opening up your entire spine and the entire front side of your abdomen, your throat, and your chest. We're gonna start on all fours. And we're gonna start by having our chin to the sky, and we're slowly gonna curl our spine all the way till we bring our chin to our chest. And we're going to feel a nice and gentle stretch. And then we're going to uncurl slowly until our chin is facing the sky and our tailbone is protruding up towards the sky too. And we're going to move in and out. So full flexion is called the cat. And as we move into extension, it's called the cow. And we're just going to be moving in and out between this position, chin to chest, as you fully flex the spine. And as we move into extension, we're fully going to open the spine up all the way, really arching the back and looking up towards the sky, tailbone up towards the sky, and slowly moving in and out of this position. So this exercise just really helps with my digestion, allowing my spine to open, my belly to open, my chest to open, my throat to open, and I still use this exercise today. So the next exercise that really helped me open up this whole chain of my digestion was called the couch stretch. And it's a very common one as well, and it opens up your quadriceps, which connect into your hip, which connect into your lower belly. And this can allow for the softening and the opening of all the muscles that are connected to your legs that go into your belly. So remember, the legs are deeply interwoven with your hips and with your belly. So it's very important to consider them. And a lot of us can have a very, very, very tight quadriceps because we sit down a lot and the muscles tend to shorten. So by slowly encouraging movement and flexibility and mobility, it's going to allow for your digestion to open up too. So how I start this stretch is I get a pillow to protect my knee, I put it down, and you can also use 2 pillows. And by raising the floor a little bit, it protects your knee. So I put my knee onto the pillow like this. I stand nice and tall, and if it's harder, what you can do is you can move away from the couch a little bit to have a greater angle between you and the couch, or more distance between you and the couch. I stand up nice and tall, and I can either hold this position or I can push backwards and forwards. And what you really want to do here is you want to try to tilt your pelvis forward as well. So I'm rolling and rotating my pelvis backwards and forwards. And I could also lean forwards, put weight on my front leg, and I can tilt at the same time. Then I can rock back. And I just want to be moving in and out of this position 20 times on each leg. And this will really create this beautiful stretch all the way through and up from the knee to the quadricep, into the hip flexor, into the psoas muscles, which connect the torso and the legs together, all the way up into the diaphragm. And you can also start to open up and really stretch through the side of your body too, for extra effect. And over time, your whole entire chain will start to open up. And I would swap legs and do it on the other side as well. I used to sit down a lot in my job, in my work, in the car, driving around, and this helped me so much in opening up my legs, which connect into my hips, and I found there was so much more softness in my belly rather than this rigid tightness in the inner muscles, not the outer muscles and outer skin, but inside can be really tight and rigid, which can cause all this compression. So this really helped me open my diaphragm and my belly up a lot. Another really powerful exercise that helped open up my entire digestion chain and my spine was called curls and unfurl. So if we're standing laterally to the side and we push our hands into the middle of our chest and we curl our spine, and then we uncurl and open up our spine, and we move in between these 2 motions. When we push our hands into our chest, we really curl our spine as much as we can. We try to become the hunchback of Notre Dame. And then when we open up, we're opening up our palms, our throat, our eyes, our chest, our hips to the world. So you're curling as far as you can, chin to chest. Very similar to the cat-cow, but now you have your legs to support you and give you more of an opening in a different plane. And gravity is assisting and hindering you in different ways. So just moving between a curl and an unfurl. So that is the curl and unfurl. And this beautifully progresses into a spinal wave. So the spinal wave is something that I do almost every day to awaken my spine in the morning and help with my digestion in the morning. And sometimes I'll do a little bit before dinner too, just to get everything nice and open and mobilized. So if my knees are slightly bent and I'm leaning back ever so slightly, first thing I do is I bring my chin to my chest, and I start to slowly curl and roll my spine all the way until my head's forward and my bum is sticking back. And then I continue the motion all the way up. And I bring my chin to my chest. I curl my spine down. I look up and I follow the motion. Leaning back slightly, I bring my chin to my chest to start the movement. Curl my spine all the way down. My bum is sticking back, head is forward. And I just continue this movement. And I'm not trying to force anything. I'm being quite soft. And as I roll down with my chin to my chest, I'm breathing out. And as I roll up, I'm breathing in. And then eventually you just start to roll these waves. And you can go slow, you can make your spinal waves smaller or larger. And you're just gonna invite some motion, some mobility, some waves, some spirals all through your spine. And as you can see, this rippling effect, it starts to loosen and open up your entire digestive chain. And there you have it. That is the spinal wave. It helped me so much. I still use it today. It's one of my favorite exercises, and I hope it helps you too. A helpful exercise I used on my journey was something called shaking. And shaking is an idea that if we shake our body, we separate all the cells that may be glued or stuck together, which allows for more movement, more mobility, and more motility. So the idea is to start bouncing on your knees, allowing your shoulders to drop, allowing your fingers to drop, allowing your skull to drop, and you're just going to go into this gentle shaking or rocking where you try to loosen your body as much as you can to relieve as much tension as you can. And the idea here is to also start to loosen your belly, your organs, your hips, your muscles around your legs. Everything is jiggling. Everything is like going through a sieve. So if you can imagine your body going through a sieve and you're starting to sieve out all the lumpy bits and you're trying to find all the fine, nice, powdery bits in your cells. So if you imagine you're sieving flour, imagine your body is like flour and you're trying to separate all the clumps and lumps and all the stuck gluey bits. So I'm just going to spend some time just bouncing, shaking, closing my eyes even, allowing my head to wobble, my chin to wobble, my shoulders, my elbows, and just trying to relieve my body of as much stress and tension as I can. And this is going to be so beneficial for your digestion, because it's been so beneficial for my digestion. Every time I feel stressed, my body feels tight and rigid, or I get anxious or nervous around food, I'll just do some shaking practices, and it'll help me make better decisions too. So just shaking, allowing everything to soften, wiggle, loosen, and you're breathing in and out. And you can never get to the furthest depth of this exercise. I've been doing it for like over 10 years now, and you can always find more parts and more pieces of your body to let go of. And it feels pretty damn good. And after I finish shaking, say I shake for like 3 or 4 minutes, I stand still and you feel all this tingling in your body. And this tingling is all the energy that you've just moved around. And it's a beautiful time to close your eyes and just feel your body and be in presence. And it's so beneficial at opening up your entire chest, your shoulders, your back, your spine, your hips, and your belly, and shaking the organs up as well. So movement is life, so let's create more life in our body. So there you have it. There are some exercises that have really helped me on my journey of improving my digestion and how my entire body works. And they've really added and aided the healing process, especially from the physical movement side. And it's allowed my entire body and system to open up more and more and more. I believe this life is just one continuous unfolding and opening. So we're just constantly learning how to let go of stress and tension and open ourselves up more and more to the beautiful possibilities that lie ahead. So hopefully you enjoy them and they work beautifully for you. I like to think of movement in 2 categories. Hard and soft. Think of hard as strength, power, and explosiveness, and think of soft as flexibility, mobility, suppleness, fluidity, and gracefulness. A lot of us tend to either move in either the hard plane too much or in the soft plane and not enough hard. In my case, I was a strength athlete and I hardly moved soft, and I needed more soft in my life. I needed more flexibility, more mobility, and more gracefulness and suppleness, so my body could open, so it could accommodate a better flow of digestion through my system, from my throat all the way down to my butt. And some of us don't move hard enough. We don't have the stability in our body, we don't have the strength, we don't have the robustness, we don't have the resilience. And this also transfers to the resilience and robustness of the mind. When you're confronted with adversity and something uncomfortable, can you stand through it and can you stay grounded? So it's a beautiful idea of how movement can actually affect not only the body, but also the mind and our psychology and our emotions too. Another big factor of my healing was also regular meditation practices. So just having a time of the day where I could sit still and just be with my body, be with myself, just breathe and try to connect back to presence of what I was feeling. I started with 7 minutes a day and I built up to 2 15-minute sessions a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. It really allowed me to fall back into gratitude for what I had in my life, and that allowed me to enter a greater state of softness and ease and acceptance and love. And that allowed for me to change my mind, which helped change my body. It really created a deeper listening to what my body needed and so much more of a deeper relaxation within my system. I really think that the state that meditation can put you in when done consistently over a period of time really aids healing for absolutely anything, and I recommend it so highly, and I can't tell you how much it's changed my life. So if you find it difficult, start with a minute a day. Start with 2 minutes a day. Slowly build up. Spend time, drop your breath into your belly, sit, and you can either follow your breath as the anchor, the thing that brings you back. If your mind starts to wander too much, use your breath as the anchor. So just follow your breath in and follow your breath out. And don't try to do anything. Just try to be present with whatever is coming in to your mind, whatever your mind's doing, just be present with it. And the listening will start to happen and the relaxation will start to happen. Hey, a quick message from me. I hope you're enjoying this video and getting a lot out of it. After 10 years of study and 5 years of going through my own healing journey, I became a holistic health coach, and my number one aim is to help others heal and thrive on their journey of reclaiming their health and optimizing their life. The link to my website and application form is in my bio. I would love to hear from you, but for now, let's get back to the video. Another thing that really helped with my healing was starting to listen to my heart more and starting to follow the things I was passionate about in my day-to-day activities. And this also included my work. I was a corporate individual. I studied construction management at university in Australia, and I was working in the corporate field of engineering and construction management and managing projects in construction, very office-based, very heady, very sitting in a chair a lot. And I was working for another company and I was kind of building myself up through there, but it also wasn't something I was very passionate about. There's a long story of why I decided to go down that route. I was always passionate about the body, spirituality, the mind, the emotions, understanding how everything kind of worked. And this challenge in my life brought me to a crossroads of my career and the daily choices I was making and the activities that I was doing every day. It allowed me to see what was important, and it allowed me to align myself to something that I genuinely wanted to do. And the more I started aligning myself to what it was that my heart wanted to do in the world, I wanted to help individuals ease their suffering. I wanted to coach, I wanted to teach, I wanted to share, I wanted to study about the body, emotion, psychology, spirituality, and I also wanted to perform. I wanted to perform as the fire dancer that I am today. And the more I started aligning myself to all these things, the less and less and less and less my body started giving me more symptoms of inflammation. I've seen a lot through the clients that I've worked with, and even myself, that when there's incongruency between what you put out into the world and what you do in the world and what you feel inside, your body will tell you. And your body can tell you in terms of your gut, your skin, your joints, lots of different things. So this is something to really keep in mind. When you are on the journey of healing, how congruent are you being with what your heart wants to do and what you are doing outside in the world? And I know this can be tough, right? Like, we've got families to feed, we've got bills to pay, all these things to do. And there's many ways of doing it, right? But some aspect of your week, of your day, should be aligned to what your heart wants to bring into the world. It could be playing music, it could be dancing more, it could be being involved in the community more, it could be playing sport more. Something that is heart-centered and heart-centric is so important. So the more I started aligning myself to more choices, more behaviors, and more things that were heart-centric and less head-centric, of course, I had to use the head a lot. The mind is so important. It's such a powerful tool when it's supporting the heart. So that's my rant around passion, career, life choices, and aligning things more within yourself so the body can feel congruent to what's happening in the heart, and then the mind can be of support. Another big piece to my healing was working on the social aspect of my life. This was inviting more connections in that were heart-centered, that were based in community, that were based and surrounded by nature and people that were on their purpose and on their mission in life, wanting to help the world become a better place. Now, this might seem a little bit fluffy. So what I mean by that is people that valued friendship, family, and the values around community and connection and nature and good food and good company and actually supporting each other to become the best versions of themselves. When I started surrounding myself with people that were more heart-centered and community-centered, the conversation started changing, the information started changing, the care that I felt started changing, my safety within myself started changing. I started feeling more confident, more safe, more secure, more loved, and I started feeling like I was valued and I was a member of the tribe. But when you're part of a community, your nervous system, your stress, your anxiety starts to go down a lot. There's an old saying in psychology that we are primordial creatures that track where we are in terms of our social standing and how connected we feel to a group of people, how connected we feel to our family, how connected we feel to our friends. We don't do well in isolation. We do well in communities that are heart-centered, where there is compassion, empathy, love, joy, and a willingness to grow and expand for the better of everyone. So as I introduced new social connections in my life, as the environment changed, as I started following my passion more, I also met my partner, Ash, who is an absolute angel, who also helped me on my journey of healing so much. You know, we were beautiful mirrors to each other, and she's also in the wellness space, and she's an incredible meditation and yoga teacher. And I was able to grow so much with her, and the love and the connection that I felt in my life also expanded. And this was just a catalyst for healing times 100. See, the ripple effect of all the pieces of the lifestyle pieces really start to build up and really start to create a story of healing and the conditions for healing. And all the right people start to enter your life as you start to take the steps which need initial courage, but then become easier as you start to walk down that path. And it might sound a little bit esoteric, it might sound a little bit journeyman-like, but this is the human experience. This is the journey we're on. We have to confront that which is uncomfortable, that which is unknown, and if we stay in our safety too long, too much, things get comfortable and we don't learn, we don't expand, we don't grow, and our inner self can feel this and can contract, and it can create sickness and illness and disease. So I really feel like this was a really important part to open myself up to the world, to the connections that were available for me. I really hope you enjoyed this video and you took a lot out of it, and it helps you in some way, shape or form, even if it's a small percentage of one piece that you picked up that helps you on your journey of healing your gut. You know, it was a pretty long journey for me. It took all up about 5 years for me to completely recover. And I went through some really dark times around anxiety and sadness and anger and even some depression, because it really changed the way I operated in life and it made me feel isolated at times. But in the end, it all served a really beautiful purpose, because I'm here now doing the thing that lights me up the most, which is teaching others how to reclaim their health and connect more to their bodies and their awareness and with food, and the thing that lights them up the most in the world. So this is something that has come out of it, which is beautiful, and I'm so excited to do more of it. So what I do now is I coach and I teach individuals on this journey of reclaiming their health and also optimizing their lifestyle. And I teach workshops around vitality and retreats too. And it's something that I love doing, and I'm going to continue doing probably for the rest of my life, because I'm so passionate about it and sharing the information around good health and good life. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have your health, it is very hard to do much in this world. So yeah, I wish you guys the best on your journey, and until next time, have a beautiful time. If you would like to find out more about how you can work with me, you can check my bio or check the information on this video below, and there will be a link there with my contact details and application form on my mentorship program, where I take 7 clients every trimester and I work with them deeply to help them reclaim their health and improve their lifestyle manyfold, and really find that vitality, which I know is nested within every single individual, and they just have to sometimes get out of their own way and rewire some habits and stories, and be around a supportive community and group of people, even if it's just one individual that believes in them and can inspire them. So yeah, I wish you the best on your journey of healing, and until next time, stay vital.